Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Gabriel, market analyst from SmarTrade. So let's have our quick daily briefing for today. And let's have a market recap on some of the important economic indicators yesterday. So, okay, so first things we have the unemployment rate for Eurozone for the month of December. So the previous data was 7.1%, and same goes with the market forecast. And the release time last night was 6 p.m. So the actual data, it was 7%. So slightly better than the market forecast in the previous data. But surprisingly, the unemployment rate data for Eurozone did not create any much volatility, to be specific on the euro dollar. So next is we have the Canada GDP monthly basis for the month of November. So the previous data was 0.8% and the market forecast at 0.3%. And the release time last night was 9:30 p.m. So the actual data, it was 0.6%. So slightly better for the market forecast for about 0.3% in difference, and also slightly lower compared on the previous data. So let's take a look on the USD CAD after the release of this data. So as we can see here, the USD CAD price move in a range of 26.2 pips 1 hour after the event, and it ended with a bullish trend of 8.4 pips. So we can clearly see that the dollar against the CAD was actually traded back and forth around the 1.2680 territory, all the way up to 1.27 and 10. Next, we have the JOLTS job openings for US for the month of December. So the previous data was 10.775 million and the market forecast at 10.30 million. So the release time, 9:30 p.m. last night. And the actual data, it was 10.925 million. So better than the market expectations, and it beats the previous data as well. So this one is a good sign for the US, especially on their job openings data. And for today's economic data, during the Asian session, so first things we have the unemployment rate for the fourth quarter for New Zealand. So the previous in the market forecast, same at 3.4%, and the release time earlier was 5:45 a.m. So the actual data, it was slightly lower, around 3.2%, did not beat the market expectations and also the previous data. Followed by the employment change for the Q4 quarterly basis for New Zealand as well. So the previous data was 2% and the market forecast is 0.3%. And the actual data, it was 0.1%, so lower than the market forecast in the previous data. But for this data, did not create any much volatility. To be specific on the dollar, on the New Zealand against the US dollar. So upon checking, the price moved for about 15 pips, 30 minutes after the event, so did not create any much volatility after all. So for the European session, later at 6 p.m. we have the CPI data or the inflation rate. So we have the yearly basis for the month of January for Eurozone. So the previous data was 5%, and it's being forecasted slightly lower, around 4.4%. And later at US session, we have to focus on the OPEC meeting around 5 p.m. And we also have to pay attention on the ADP employment change for the month of January, private sector for US employment. So the previous data was 807K, and it's being forecasted lower, around 207K. So let's see what will happen later for some currencies that is paired with the dollar, since the ADP is expected to be much lower compared on the previous data. All right, thank you everyone for joining our daily briefing. Stay safe and have a great day.